Well, hello, everybody, and thank you today for joining us on Let's Get Real. And today we really do have wisdom of the souls that are going to be joining us. Well, Nicole, it's Wednesday again, and we keep saying this every Wednesday, but it's crazy how fast time is going by. And we got a lot of things happening and not happening. So you and I were just talking before we got on. There's feeling a lot of blocks, and maybe our guest today can help us figure out what's going on, because he is a master, I understand, and I'm excited. So please introduce our next guest.
And he really is. You know, I've known him for a while now, but I've worked with him also. And I can honestly tell you his knowledge is so vast, so interesting, and so different that I think the more that we talk about things like this of, being healers and master numbers, blueprint numerology, I think people are going to get kind of comfortable hearing these things. And I think we're planting seeds, Glenda, of what's to come, because, this is the last couple days of 2022. We need to get rid of it.
Woo!
We need to start fresh. So it's kind of exciting. But, Stefan is he's amazing. And I just want to give a little background. He's been a commercial pilot. He has been a bartender. He's been a call center rep. And he kind of took a leap of faith, and now he is CEO of Emotional Soul Healing, and we're going to let him explain that. But one of the things he talks about, and I think this is so cool, is that we are spiritual beings and we're living a temporary human experience. And I fully believe that. I've always felt that there's so much more to us than just standing on this earth, going to work, coming home, and going to sleep and waking up and do it again. So he's the perfect person to help explain that. He's a blueprint numerologist. He's a healer using guided meditations, and he helps people assist into leveling up from 3D to 5D, which we're going to have him explain. So I'm really happy to welcome my friend, Stefan Sherba.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. That's quite the introduction. Glenda, pleasure. Thank you both here.
Well, Stefan, I'm so excited to find out all about you, because, I'm a believer in all of these things and I want to be enlightened. So, first of all, you've got quite a background to begin with before all of this, and then to come into being a master healer, and I love numerology. So please enlighten us.
That's quite the introduction there. I am an awakened master. To master this at the master level, that's something else. That is, I'll say that right from the beginning here. Technically, we're all enlightened, or even right now, for whatever that frequency is, whatever that energy is. When we come from the other side, from the universe side or the spiritual side, and when we splash into this plane, we're in the lowest physical plane here. Now, there is other parts in the universe that are lower. That's something that's not really talked about. But this plane, what's very special of it is it's in the center of the universe. What makes it very special here is the frequency and the energy dealing with emotions. Emotions is what makes this plane so special. So when the souls come here, or for the old souls, so for the master numbers, if they decide to come here, they're going to spend a lot of prep time for it before coming here, because they realize this is a tough place. This is a really tough place. And unfortunately, either there's interference coming from the family, the culture, and the religion, and most of this stuff emotionally is swept underneath the rug and no one talks about it. And if you go to the graveyard, that's often the richest place there. The books that are not been published, songs not expressed, and what was on the inside that was never really authentically expressed, and a soul contract that wasn't completed.
Well, so many of us hold on to emotions and don't say things because we're, afraid of being judged, or, of our thoughts and things like that. And that's this very saddest part of it all. And it isn't until sometimes where, I have been with loved ones just before they have passed on. And, it's that time where they unload their their regrets in life. And it's too bad that we can't unload earlier in our lives.
You nailed it there, Glenda. 1,000%. And the message I'm getting here is, as a spiritual being, the soul, all it cares about, we are as a spiritual being, when we come here, is to release that emotional friction. The soul on the other side cannot release this on the other side. So it's not just for you and I and for the 7 or 8 other billion people here. When the soul decides to come here, there's an agreement with the universe. There's 5 volunteered guides that assist each and every one of us here. And the soul's asking, we're going to go through a thing called a human experience, whether it's emotional vulnerability. For myself there, it affected my leadership for many years. I had struggled with speaking for almost 20 years.
Oh.
And yeah, so that was a tough wake-up call. So for my own soul contract, for my own soul experience, if one's not able to lead properly or having the right guidance growing up, or the ability to associate with other people, and more importantly is the ability of communicating or articulating or expressing, it closes off a lot of doors.
Yeah, I truly believe that. And, I know what a soul contract is, and I truly believe in it, that because we write it before we come. So could you explain to the audience what exactly a soul contract is?
Happy to do that. So what's a soul contract? You're speaking to a guy, before I got into this, there's no way on earth I'd be talking about things like this. So to give a bit of a background, before I talk about the soul contract, we all go through, each of us, I honestly believe we all go through an emotional experience, whether it's a person on the street, if it's somebody in the home, if it's the CEO, if it's the president, if it's the professional, whoever it is out there, we all go through that emotional experience. Before I got into this, I had several near-death experiences for pushing my butt for many years. I worked in the oil and gas sector as well, being on call 24/7. From that experience, I want to pushing myself from the physical veil into the spiritual veil. And I had an experience where the universe said, knock, knock. If you do not wake up, and if you do not deal with your emotional stuff, we commend you for your work ethic, but the harder you work, the deeper in the hole at the time I was going.
Wow.
So this was in my 30s. And then it really shook me up. And I'm like, wow, I was doing something to appease somebody else because they weren't able to do it. And I took on any job, anything, just to make that dream possible as a commercial pilot. It then turned into the feelings of resentment, and deep down inside, on the outside, it looked great. I had a 6-figure job at the time. I was flying out of 3 different skydiving operations. It was a lot of fun, put a smile on my face. I had a nice sport bike. I was out there, and on the inside, my world was crumbling. And then until it affected the heart chakra, I don't know what the medical terminology is, but it blew into like 1 million or 1 billion different pieces from the energetic of the heart. And that was like, whoa, I'm stepping into new territory with this. And the soul contract that came here with the vibrations, I want them going down 300 to 400% deeper than everybody else. So this is a bit of the background into this. The universe sent a gentleman here 100 years ahead of time by the name of Joseph Boutros Agape. His gift was awakening the old souls and the master numbers. So from there, I took a risk. This is where I started taking that leap of faith. What is the universe? And I was always hungry when I left high school. What makes the 5% or the 1% tick? And I was naive at the time, but I was hungry. And step by step, through meeting this person, I found out that we have a soul blueprint. When I had that phone call with them, we went over my date of birth and my name there, and I knew that I couldn't hide from it anymore. It hit me on every vulnerable aspect of my life. So the universe is saying, well, what's it going to be? So I gave my notice to the company. I gave my notice to the dream job, and I came here to Vancouver, and I started from the ground up. It was authentically a blessing in disguise, as horrific, or as I was crushed at the time for whatever happened. And I realized we're talking about the soul blueprint. Well, what is the soul blueprint?
Right.
So the soul blueprint is a well-detailed blueprint, and with the work I was doing, it operates like a checklist. And it was just like a Swiss watch. The accuracy of it, the details of it, I got fascinated with it. For me, I had no stability. I desperately needed my freedom. I had a brutal time talking. I had a brutal time expressing. My leadership was impacted on every level. I was overly responsible for everybody else, and I had completely taken myself out of the picture.
When you say you've taken yourself out of the picture, how do you mean?
I took myself out of the picture. I didn't put myself as the priority.
Okay.
By not putting myself as a priority, I was doing something for somebody else.
I get that
one. What's that?
I get that one. That's been my life. Yes.
So that's where things hit home. So then when I got introduced to this gentleman, we talked. And I knew after that conversation, there was no getting out. The universe gifted me exactly what I was after. So now we're talking about the soul blueprint. What is it? So I got involved with the art of healing. So the way I describe it, we are in a physical 3D-dimensional suit. Now there's a physical part of us and there's an etherical part. Before something happens in this physical part, it happens in the way we think, our thoughts, and the emotions. This is the part that needs to be cleared out. Once this is cleared out, it immediately affects our physical reality and our physical being, our health, our way of thinking, thoughts, and the emotional state. So I wound up working here in Vancouver. I wound up working in several hotels. I wound up serving for a while, and then I eventually got into a high-end restaurant. And this I was blown away. It's like, wow, the universe is giving me an opportunity to work here. What I found out is the soul agreement. What's the soul contract? The owners of the place energetically reminded me, with the I's dotted and the T's crossed energetically, of my mom and dad growing up from childhood. Whatever I didn't deal with, it served it to me on a silver platter. And I stuck it out with it there for 2.5 years. To this day, it was hands down the best training ever gotten. The owner, it was a tough place. It's not for the faint of heart. They're all coming here with the large souls, the old master number type vibrations. And if you didn't make the cut, you got out of there very quickly. So it was a very high-end, very lucrative opportunity. I took full advantage of it, meaning that when I was in there, I started cleaning up my emotional mess. And it's whatever I had swept underneath the rug. So the healing is where we take this etherical bubble and we remove it. And then all of a sudden you start feeling things on a live sensation. It's no longer walking around. It's like in the Matrix, taking the red pill or the blue pill.
Yeah.
Once you take the red pill, there's no going back.
Mm-mm.
And when I started releasing that emotions, the deeper emotions, not the surface stuff. And the surface stuff, man, it's nice having a massage. It's nice having some work done. It's nice having some Reiki work done. When a person like myself, when I was really deep in the mess of it, I had to hit rock bottom to clear out those bottom emotional feelings. And the soul agreements are the people that are going to push somebody's buttons to the max until they energetically cut and release that friction, those emotional cords from inside of myself. Once I cut them from me, this frees the soul. I'm doing this not just for myself here. I'm doing this for my soul because the soul's been stuck with this for thousands of years. It's way deeper than that. So when the souls all come here, they're desperate to cut all their baggage so they can grow, they can evolve and move on with their life. So as I started cleaning up my lower mess there, I literally watched my tower from the top coming crashing down. And it was vulnerable. I felt exposed. I felt raw, and it was tough. It was like being in the meat grinder. And step by step, this is where I started redeeming myself back into the arms of the universe. So for all the stuff that was going on, and there's no judgment with this, there's no blame with this. For my parents, my dad is an example, when he left Germany after World War II, he was stuck with all that programming.
Right.
With my mom leaving Holland, they both immigrated here to Canada. So I took full advantage of the opportunity when I was born here. I knew there was an opportunity to really make it. One's got to work for it. It's when I started working with the universe, it was a whole different animal because it's not as a human type of an agreement, it's a universe agreement. And when the emotions are cleared out, you get a test from it afterwards. And the universe is simply asking, is the person going to jump? Was I going to jump? Was I going to scream? Was I going to lose my stuff? Or was I willing to let it go? And I really had to let it go, especially being in this type of a niche now, because if emotionally, the emotions are up here in the throat chakra. If it's not expressed well, this is where it affects the heart, the solar plexus, and all the other base chakras. So the thing of having the Kundalini awakened is great, but if the stuff from up here in the subconscious, if it's not gutted out, it's not going to assist somebody. Or if the chakras on the inside, if the chakras are blocked, and things like the Akashic records, they are null and void right now. It's there as a trap. People need to see that. You can go in there, you can energetically clear out the whole thing.
So how long of a time period did that take you to do this work?
I've worked with clients from start to finish in about a year. And for them, they're going back to the inner child. They're going back to the fetus. They're going back into the programming with mom and dad and deeper with this. We're going in there, we're cutting everything out from the family, the culture, the religion, and for what they can physically handle for the past lifetimes. Once they start getting connected through the guided meditations on their private island, they get connected with their guides, and then with their soul, if they push with it, on average, 6 months to a year. If I'm working with somewhere, if they have the master numbers and deeper, they're not coming here on a picnic. So it's been for me, for myself here, I've been doing this for 10 plus years. And I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm still integrating many other things.
Well, but aren't we all at this point in life?
So, and that's just it. It's not something where you just jump in there and you're like, I'm done with it. Yes, but there's also part of it. The soul's asking that. I'm the example, and I'm also willing to grow with it. Yeah, and we are here from the universe. We're coming here to be the change.
And I'm curious, and I've heard both ways, but I am of the opinion that you can choose not to do this. This is a planet of free will.
That's correct. Yes.
Some people say, no, once you write that script, you have to live it out. So what do you think, that it is a free will planet?
It is a free will planet, 100%. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is a free will planet, 100% with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
The thing is, listen well with this here. Person has free will, but if the person decides to deviate off course, or if they're deviating off their path, if they're not deep down inside, if they're stuck, if they're drinking, if there's a workaholic, or if they're going really, if the things get side railed in a real bad way, the soul may induce a thing like as a stroke or a heart attack or a coma for that person to wake up, or it'll put them in the hospital for 2 or 3 months. This is not the first go around. So as an example, my soul's been here 495 times here onto this physical plane.
Wow. So
that's to provide some context there. It's not to impress upon anything, but it's to give you a background. This type of information was completely suppressed. The last generation of the old souls and the master numbers, 99% plus didn't make it. So when I was reading books growing up, all the history books, I'm like, there's something missing here. And then I was reading other material where the women were burned at the stakes, or for witchcraft, or for this, or for that. And I'm like, what is all this? When I was at the restaurant, I started going really deep. Then I found in other past lifetimes, I was either in Africa, I worked in Italy, I had a vineyard, I was a Roman officer. And these were all the various lifetimes that I had experienced with my soul. And energetically, once I cleared that frequency, that energy from me, whether it's the feeling of shame, guilt, harassment. If you look on some people's necks, you can often see there's a line here around somebody's neck. Mm-hmm. So if you see that, people doing psychosomatic work or other type of body work, it tells me immediately that person had a past lifetime execution. And then it's energetically shown on the body with it. Or somebody's got a mole somewhere, or they have a color disfiguration. It's telling me from the past lifetime, somebody went through something horrific.
And I believe that because I can have absolutely nothing on my neck. I've never been able to wear a turtleneck. I can't stand for my face and neck to be touched. And someone regressed me to a past life, and I saw myself in France in like this dungeon, and I had a neck clamp on that I could not take off. And I've also felt, even when I was a little girl, I think I was about 5 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night and I remember pulling something off my neck, something. And so when you talk about that, some of the things we bring forward with it are still, and I know a lot of people don't know what Akashic records are. So could you explain that for us?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So the Akashic records, I don't even really touch much basis on that. There's many people that specialize in it. It is a place where from every past lifetime, whatever's happened here physically, it's energetically stored into an energetic library from the universe. So for those that are gifted in medium work or advanced hypnotherapy type work, they can access those records from a past lifetime. That for me is not something that I specialize in. My specialty is identifying the feeling, identifying the emotion, and then we go in there and we clear out the whole energetic mess. The gift of being in the 5D here is once we identify that feeling in this lifetime, it's not what happened. The Akashic records is an accumulation for the soul's various vast amount of lifetimes. Every time when the soul's here, it records everything from every lifetime. What's spoken, what's said, what's thought of here, what's felt in the heart. There's like an entire encyclopedia set of every person when they come down here. After the while, the soul gets fed up. The soul gets really fed up because it's like, I've already done this stuff. I'm not coming here to go through another lifetime with this. So when I mentioned earlier that the Akashic records are technically null and void, what I'm referring to is when we go back to that feeling, that deep, deep feeling, and we clear that out, when it's done properly from this lifetime, our spiritual guides are able to then energetically clear it out from all the other past lifetimes. This is the massive awakening that's going on right now. It's not the thing with wearing the masks or what's going on globally for the past couple of years. Yes, it is also there as a shake-up or a wake-up call for humanity that we're coming here for something else. And there was many other past civilizations that were here, and unfortunately, due to three main human components, either dealing with greed, lustation, and power. And what they're doing desperately from the light side of the universe is to energetically cut and release all this crap that's been going on here. Once this energetically frees up, it then clears a person out emotionally on the inside. This then clears up the Akashic records with this. What we're doing now is, I'll use me as the example. When I was doing the initial healing work, every time I worked on me and I went, it's like playing a game of Tetris. Taking out, instead of all the pieces coming down, I'm removing all the pieces. And I keep removing as much as I can until eventually the bottom line, however deep this thing, and I'm talking about soul deep, the whole thing energetically collapses. And the soul, it's like having like a large pie where a slice of it all of a sudden energetically gets released and dissolved and placed back into the field, back into the universe. And the universe says, thank you so much on the soul's behalf for cleaning and releasing it. Wow. And it's work, it's a commitment, and it's a decision. It goes back to the free will. If a person doesn't acknowledge they can acknowledge the free will, but if they're playing stupid with it, or if they decide that even if they commit suicide, or if they decide that they're going to laugh it off, unfortunately, for those that commit suicide, they come right back here again for the same thing.
Wow.
It's not a joke with this. So, and for those that think, well, that they're going to do the healing, or if they start doing the healing work, and that midway, they're like, oh, I'm feeling good. I don't need to do this anymore. If it's not done properly, the soul's going to bring them back for the next lifetime. It's going to be sometimes twice or three times as hard as the first go around.
Yeah. And the work, once you wake up and you start realizing everything that has impacted your life via the records or anything like that, it's hard work. It's very hard work. And I mean, you have to take it seriously. It's not one session. It's an ongoing upgrade of yourself.
It is an ongoing upgrade. Yes, Nicole. Yes.
So when you say of doing the work, there's be a lot of people that are going to watch this and not going to really understand of really what's involved into this.
Certainly.
What it means. Can we go in just a little bit deeper?
Of course. So I start off with everything starting with the soul blueprint consultation. From there, I'm asking for a person's date of birth and their name. From there, I'm not identifying the positive points. I'm highlighting them. What I'm appointing there or identifying very quickly is the awareness of the blind sides or things on the inside that they completely negated or forgot about from childhood.
And how do you know this? Can you sense something from this?
Every time.
Really? Okay.
1000%, bang on.
I concur. He does. He's very intuitive.
Okay.
This someone from the universe designed this technology. It's not like it's just coming from me with this. It's come from many other past civilizations, past lifetimes. I don't use it for prediction tools. I use it strictly for the emotional part. What's the feeling? So if somebody, let's say, well, I've had some calls recently. Somebody had a trauma from a younger experience, or they were in a relationship, and they couldn't handle the relationship properly. And they were in that relationship, say, for 10 or 15 years, and they got really stuck by it. And then Stefan, I need to clear that relationship out. First thing I advise them, it's not the relationship, it's where's that programming coming back in from mom and dad?
It's true. Yeah.
Where is it from dad? Was the relationship with the dad, was it positive? Was it negative? Was it traumatic? Was it something happened? What was it? Because when we're going for the feeling, we're not going for the surface part here. We're going as where down in the subconscious, that inner child that's still on the inside, where we go deeper. The person wants to do the deeper work. We go into the fetus. Where's that bottom feeling? If it's loneliness, if it's abandonment, if it's a tough time expressing, if it's hiding out, if it's feeling vulnerable, having no power, if it's feeling abused, if it's feeling hate, if it's feeling racism, if it's feeling the energies coming from mom, if it's feeling the energies coming from dad, that becomes after 21 days. And it's normally after 3 months in the fetus. After 3 months, this is where the subconscious develops and starts recording everything. So after 21 days, that becomes as the base program. If that base program is screwed up, it's got another 6 months to that. And then when the child comes out from the mommy's tummy, it has the first cry. It's like, oh, not you again. I'm back here again.
That's why they cry.
Everyone's kind of getting a laugh out of it. Oh, it's so cute. And the other side, they're like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. We're in this 3D reality. They get me back up here, and the contract's now in effect. And then we have the thing called amnesia, so we forget about all this. In the subconscious, the contract is still there. And when a person goes deep enough, when they clear out these emotional energies, when we come from the universe, we're coming in pristine divine condition in most cases. And if there is a child coming for different reasons, it's a lesson there for mom and dad. And the kids that are coming here, they're here to teach mom and dad to wake up and break out of the system.
Okay. You just hit some ahas with me. Okay.
I know. I saw that, Glenda. You were like,
Okay.
Here. So the moment, I'll use me example, I was born in April. I had no stability. So I'm sitting on a chair. If two of the legs are strong, one of the legs is weak, and the fourth one I'm aware deep down inside. If I had a tough time talking, if I had a tough time asking, if I was like, oh, am I going to get in trouble for this? Am I going to get in trouble for that? Can I use my voice? Am I going to be seen? Am I going to be recognized? This is the part here. If I'm growing up in life, or as I'm moving on with my life, if that one leg isn't solid, at any time, my foundation, the whole thing can collapse at any time. The 5 there is dealing with freedom. And it's interesting, if both my mom and dad were born on the 14th, which is a karmic number, which adds up to the number 5.
Right.
For me here, I needed that freedom. What's the freedom from? Freedom from negative people, negative thoughts, negative environments, toxic people. Freedom from the family, freedom from the culture, freedom from the religion. Freedom from worries, thoughts, fears. Freedom from all my responsibilities that are not mine. If I was overindulging and underindulging, whether it was food, eating, shopping, sex, whatever I was doing too much of or not enough of, and basically because I was inside of me, I was escaping whatever I had a real tough time dealing with when I was younger.
Wow.
1977 is a 24/6. That 6 is dealing with personal responsibility at the end of my life with this. Now, if I add it all up there, it adds up to 33/6. So I'm not coming here on a picnic. This is coming here as a master number. The 3 there, what did I say earlier in the call here? I had struggled for almost 20 years talking because it was the fear. There was a fear behind it. So doing this chart there, immediately I knew That's the core issue there. Now I need to go deeper with this. The soul's asking, well, you're born in April, you're born on the 5th. We subtract the numbers there, back to that one vibration. The one's dealing with leadership. It's dealing with self-confidence. Self-confidence, that's the feeling right there. Once I had that awareness, I needed the awareness of it. Once I had the awareness of that one feeling, then the 20% was to go in and doing a guided meditation and releasing all that, whatever it is, from down from the bottom. Once that bottom thing got taken out, all this stuff on top, the whole thing collapses, and you send it all back into the field. You say, thank you very much. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the experience. I'm now ready to learn and grow up and take charge of my own life.
You know, we talk about this, but there is absolutely, as you speak about this in these master numbers, and when we come back in our parents and, you know, the subconscious starting at, you know, a couple months old, nothing is random.
No.
Nothing is random.
No.
And that,
So
I just,
as we move into that, like, how do we find out? I know you are very connected with the numbers, and your numbers are your way of guiding, or
Yes, they are.
so explain all this to me, because I've had my numbers done a few times. And
would you like to sit on the hot seat?
sure.
Okay.
Use me.
May I ask for your date of birth, please?
May the 11th,
Yeah.
1959.
1969. Let's take a look here. So 1959. My apologies.
Great if it was 69.
Let's take a look here. 1924. 24, 11's 35, and 5, 40/4. Ooh.
I'm not sure what that means.
1959, 19, 24, 24, 35, Destiny 40/4. Your last name's Kroll. Is this a German name or a Danish name?
Well, I guess it must have been somewhere through time and history, but
Okay. I have lots here to work with. Okay. This is what I'm seeing here. You're coming here with a massive soul agreement. You're coming here with an absolutely massive soul agreement. Your destiny is a 40/4. So energetically, when I'm speaking to you, for both of you ladies there, I've spoken with Nicole this. These type of soul agreements have not been opened up for many years because the density of it is so deep. You're coming here, and on a positive side, you're coming here to work at some point with the angels if you decide to do this. Not only with your spiritual guides, with your soul, you're coming to work with the angels from the light and the archangels. Now, that sounds like a lofty and a beautiful goal. Now, the reality of it is, when I take a look at it, is growing up, how good was the stability? Was the feeling of loneliness from a younger age and from your father? If your father there, if there's any issues there, whatever it may be, there's no judgment and there's no blame. If there's any trauma there, that's what needs to get cleared out, because that back from the foundation, this is what's holding everything back. The 4 there, it's like sitting on the chair. If you're building your business and you're working your tail off and you're doing everything to get up to the very, very top of it, what the soul is asking for is, as you get up to the top, and if you come crashing back down 600 times just to repeat the process all over again, it's asking, we're in this 5D consciousness. Please do not build your business or your empire if deep down inside, if you have the awareness that you have holes or leaks in your foundation. Because at some point later on, at your most vulnerable point in the 5D, this is where if the foundation buckles, you can watch the whole thing come down.
Okay, so let's stop for a second. You mentioned a few times 5D and 3D. Can you explain that to us? Because I don't understand what that is, and I'm sure our
certainly. The 3D down at 3D, this is dealing with the feelings of shame, guilt, desire, apathy, feelings of grief, feelings of anger, the feelings of pride. So the feelings of pride cometh before a fall. So if someone's able to get out of those lower frequencies, then they have their head high, thinking I'm coming from this background or that background, or I'm better than somebody else. and then energetically something silly happens and they want to lowering the frequency. Everything's in a frequency. So things start from the bottom frequencies. This is the toughest part here. The 5D elevates at a higher frequency, the feelings of love, joy, and peace. And it's all calibrated on there. The map of consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. He talks about all this here. What most people tend to do is where the frequency is, and then they do what they can to vibrate higher from there, to elevate their frequency. They can do this in the physical realm, but etherically, if there's an energies from those lower third dimensional energies, those are the feelings it can be associated with hate, jealousy, racism. If it's tension, if it's a divorce, if it's a separation, any of the ugliness that happens within the family, those are all the lower frequencies. Mm-hmm. So since the end of 2012, humanity's been in this 3D reality for 300,000 to 400,000 years and longer. We've been entrenched in a system here. And for the first time since the end of 2012, the universe has allowed this plane here to elevate into the higher frequencies. So it's for the women now that hold the torch with this. It's now embodying the divine feminine female energy with this. It's to vibrate into a higher frequency. So instead of struggling, what we think about, or if we work really hard towards something, that's in the old 3D way of doing things. When we elevate our frequency, then we're freer on the inside. We're energetically freer. We're not held back by the stuff or the programming, whatever mom said, whatever dad said, whatever the culture said. If there was an experience, it's to be free and clear of all this. And as we vibrate higher, this is where we start connecting with our spiritual guides. We start connecting in part with our higher self, with our soul. This is the massive awakening that's going on here. And in order for people to go from the third dimension into the 5D, they have to be able to let go of that 3D emotional knapsack. And the chart there simply provides the awareness immediately, hardcore, right to the point of it. Once that's got it out and addressed with properly, then a person can authentically start building their foundation from the ground up. It's not like they're building their business or building their career, and if they're sitting on eggs, or if they're sitting on quicksand at any time where something can buckle. When people wind up going to the hospital later on, it's not by some random thing. And I'm speaking of that from my own personal experience. I lost a lot of my hearing, my left ear. Energetically around my heart, I had a massive black ring around it. I had a metallic cage around the heart. And there was many things I had a really, really tough time talking about. When I released those 3D emotional energies, for feeling shamed, feeling humiliated, with the anger that was coming up there, whatever it was, once it cleared all that stuff out there, all the programming that was coming from Germany, that was coming from Holland, that was coming in from the soul's lineage, that was coming from me, born here in Canada, those were all the 3D programs. Where it's like in the Matrix, it's to go in there and unplug from all this. Once you unplug it, then you're free. Then you can start elevating your frequency. The frequency, this is what's been suppressed from everyone. When people listen to the news, when they read the newspaper, or when they go to the general store, most of it there, what's plastered all over the walls for everyone's entertainment, and it's free. What happened? The devastation, the fear, the war, it's constant programming. And it keeps people locked into a lower 3D energy. This is what the elite are terrified of, having people being aware of this. This is what the big war is going on right now. They do not wish for people to break free from this 3D reality and stepping into the 5D in a strong way, because they fear the people that when they start tapping into their soul, this is where the powerhouses start stepping into play with this.
So how do you release all of this? You
do it through a guided healing meditation. So the guided healing meditation is, I asked from the beginning there, do we have your permission there with going in there and releasing whatever that file, whatever that feeling is. When we get that as yes, from there, we'd go through a guided meditation. We go onto a private island. We introduce them to their younger self, their younger inner child. Where's the feeling coming from? And some people may not even be able to see anything at all. And then step by step, it's a relationship from this physical part of us now to our younger self. It's like from the physical world into the spiritual world, we're bridging it together. While we're physically here, we have to do the work there to take ownership of it and build that bridge from this side to the spiritual side. And it's by cleaning up all the lower mess. Once you clear it all up, then you start, and as I said, that we redeem ourselves back into the arms of the universe. We start getting connected, more importantly, with our guides from the light. Just because somebody channels, or just because someone's bringing information in, my first question is, where's that information coming from? Is it coming from, because this thing up here is the portal. And if that's not protected well, you can get anything from anywhere. And so much like this physical world, you have to be careful where you're sourcing that information from.
It's true on so many levels, isn't it?
Yes. So once you start getting connected with your spiritual guides from the light, and the guardian angel is the most important one, this is where you start connecting back in with where we came from.
So continue on, because I'm looking at, I have to be cognizant of the clock, because
Certainly.
I'm always the one who's the bad news bear here.
So your destiny here is 40/4.
What does that mean?
So the 40/4, you're coming here to work with the angels.
Of course I am. I believe that in all my heart.
You need to have, what's most important here is the foundation. The foundation from childhood is everything. So I mentioned there with your father, anything with your mom, anything with your inner child. So for the feelings there, if it's the feelingness of loneliness, jealousy, enviness, procrastination, those are the base feelings there. Self-doubt can be a big one. If in the foundation, if things were not neat and organized, if it was chaotic, if it was a chaotic environment, if it was just a mess.
Oh, you're hitting home too much.
This is, I'm speaking to you with this.
Woo. Yes.
And if it's the fear of the unknown, if it's being fearful in general, or if it's the fear, say, of being sarcastic or in denial, just to hide with whatever happened from the past with it. There's no judgment, there's no blame with this. Equally, you need that freedom. And the big thing is, if, I don't know whoever told you with this, but you're not responsible for everyone else that's around you.
No?
You're not responsible, because the moment of say, hey, Glenda, can you do this for me? Hey, Glenda, can you do that for me? People start taking you for granted. And deep down inside, there's that feeling of resentment, or as a part of you where after a while you get fed up. And if at some point, if you wind up dropping the ball and somebody asks you for the favor of it, you feel angry about it, resentful and guilty about it. And this is where it can affect your lower back. This is where it can affect your hips with this. And it doesn't lie with this, because then it's also affecting immediately your heart chakra. This is where you're going to have the walls around the heart. And this is the biggest lesson that's coming here from your soul. If somebody asks you something, you show them how it's done and you walk away. And as I said earlier in the call, it's back with dealing with yourself as the number one priority. It took me years to figure this out.
Oh, no doubt about it. I feel the same way. It's taken me years as well. It's only in the last recent while where I've actually learned to say no and to release that, I've always been the one who does it all. So it's been a huge lesson through the years.
So you can do it all. The other thing that's coming to my mind here is whatever you're doing, you're not going to like being told what to do. With whatever you're doing, or whatever position, whatever you're doing, it's with not being micromanaged, not being supervised by anyone or anything. You're going to go off the wall otherwise. You're meant to be as an entrepreneur, being self-employed and being on your own. This is where you can thrive with this. Being that powerhouse, you come here with 2 master numbers. It immediately tells me here, you're coming here to play big. You're not coming here to play small. Now, what's coming here for me is, as we're into this 5D, the 11-2. So stubbornness can be a very big thing. Control. And if there's any feelings associated with the feeling of pride, ego, or stubbornness, or if there's anything with the loss of self-confidence, whatever it is back from a younger age, at some point this needs to get addressed. Because if you're coming from a very, very big heart, and if you're having a brutal or a very, very tough time of forgiving the past, this is either going to make you or break you at some point in the 5D. I say it politely. I say it humbly. You're a very gifted, very talented lady. Your soul's coming here with many, many gifts for you. You have a lot of gifts. In order to tap into those gifts, you need to go back into the foundation. You need to clear everything out. You need to clear everything out. This is the gift that's not only for yourself, but it's also for your soul. Once you merge both of these together, your soul will then open up. If you choose to, you can be a phenomenal gifted healer in your own right. It's not coming from yourself, but it's coming with your soul's technology and with your guides from the light here. You can be working with the angels.
Wow.
You like to be doing medium type work. It's there. It's there. It's in all of us. We just need to go in there and we need to release that energy, whatever that emotional baggage is. And this is the tough one. The 11-2 vibration. So any of these master numbers, technically they mean nothing until the lower vibrations are properly dealt with. So the vibration 1 on the positive side, taking fast and immediate action, being assertive, being confident, being powerful, being asserting one's boundaries, taking fast and immediate action, being the business owner, being the entrepreneur. The negative side, if it's the ego, the pride, the stubbornness. Stubbornness can be a tough one. Controlling issues. If they're completely suppressing or dominating or crushing somebody, it's an abuse of the gift there. Once you release the negative frequency, then you make a choice there. I'm going to now vibrate the positive energy. And it's the same thing with all of these vibrations. And once they're properly released, you're going to feel it on the inside. And once you release it, say, thank you very much. You integrate with it, you adjust with it. And it's like I don't want to say it's like a game because it's not a game. It is a way of living.
Mm-hmm.
It's for every one of us here. What's coming to my mind here for those if they decide to awaken their master numbers, if they are out there and they're doing public speaking or if they're doing a great talk, what's coming here is if the childhood part isn't dealt with, somebody in the audience can put their hand up and they can say 1 or 2 words. And if it's not handled properly, and if you jump, this is where you can lose all of your credibility. And it's a tough one. It's not there as a form of punishment, but it's there as a reality check that it's the foundation. The foundation is everything. The destiny is the 40/4. So it's the soul's asking for despite however heavy, for however devastating, perhaps at a younger age, the experience was, the soul's asking at the end of life, can you please have the 4 vibration, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, being locked in and anchored in on a positive high note. So if you're not able to attain it when you were growing up there, the soul's asking at some point, are you willing to let it go? The 5D is also a huge gift with this. You can go in there and you can really clean house with this. I offer one program within 8 weeks. It does a crushing amount of damage, positive damage with cleaning out the foundation. And it's from this lifetime and the past lifetimes. I offer it a second time, no charge, so people get a real handle of it, and you can clear the whole thing out. And then from there, you start moving onwards with this.
Wow, I love it.
This no longer this notion of it takes a lifetime to work on things, or I'm going to talk about this or talk about that. We're all coming here for something very special. Each and every one of us holds a key. What I specialize in one area, Nicole is brilliant in another area, and Glenda going to bring something else to the table. And we all have our own unique way of doing things, our own technology.
I believe that 1,000,000%. I believe that we all have special gifts, and
Yes.
No matter who we are, no matter what level we're at, I believe we all have different gifts. I always said, you never know who your teacher will be.
The universe has showed me that multiple times.
Right?
It could be somebody as simple walking across the street, and I look at the person, I feel it irk, I feel a feeling on the inside. That was a test.
Yeah.
It could have been as simple as that, or something else. So.
Yeah, totally. Wow. So Stefan, how do people reach out to you if this is something that they're interested in?
Okay, certainly. So they can find me through social media, either through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, also on the US sites of Getter and Parler. My website, emotionalsoulhealing.com. That's my website. And if it interests your audience, I offer a introduction to healing. It's normally $350. I'll offer it $150 US for whoever would like to sign up for it. And for the first 5, if they'd like to sign up for it, it's complimentary. It's a 1-hour recording. during the consultation and the guided meditation. There's 2 healing sessions with it after, whatever it may be. So
And
thank you for.
I am going to tell our audience, whoever sees this, that having worked with him, and we've been working together for several months now,
Yes.
and you can't even imagine what comes up, when it comes up, how deeply it's embedded until you start working with it. And it just like bubbles up. And once you release that, well, you've got that empty space. You can fill it with something positive. But it is probably one of the most, it is the most effective healing modality I've ever had anyone work on with me. And so I, for one, encourage anybody, please take him up on that offer. You can't go wrong. Even if you think that you're healed or someone else can help you, you don't know till you worked with him how good it really is. So please take him up on that.
Okay, and what we'll do also after this, we'll be putting the links down so people will be able to see when we're finished your links, so that they'll definitely be able to connect up with you, because it's, answering questions. I always had, it took me most of my life to figure out some of the feelings that I had. And it was little things that happened to me in my life when I had breakthroughs of not understanding and of why I had certain feelings. And these things are really mammoth in our lives. And people who are watching this, I need you to really understand, because it's some of these things that we have. And, you don't know what you don't know. And until you get somebody really to work with you, to come through that and break away from something that, you feel that's holding you back in your life, it can be earth changing. Just totally.
It's true. It's true. The way I explain it, it's like having a business card. And for most of us, it's included me, there's one version of us. And this is the only version that we're aware of. The moment we flip this business card around, we start getting connected with our higher self. It's like, is this possible? What else is possible? What else can I get? What else can I do with this? The 5D is a very special experience. It's something that needs to be experienced. And once you tap into that feeling, unlike in any other feeling, it's like the Ferrari who sold his monk, or the not the Ferrari, but the monk who sold his Ferrari. That's what I'm referring to. Why did he sell it? Because he had an experience that was so profound on the inside. And whatever that feeling that he felt on the inside, he did anything and everything to attain it back. And it doesn't take a lifetime now. The 5D here is for everyone. It's an equal opportunity. So equally, we're also on this physical plane. It's not a joke with it either. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. So.
And I also believe that what has gone on in our childhood really has an effect on us all through our lives. Now, you had mentioned something with me in regards to my father. I had an actually really great relationship with my dad. However, as a young child, I was scared of him because he would yell. He never. I think I got once in my life got hit. Well, I was the one who always pushed things to the end, right? I was the what we called the shit disturber in my family. But that's all I had is all he would do is to raise his voice, and that would be enough for me.
Yeah, because it's one thing being physically hit. It's another thing when that feeling, when that emotion, when it comes through, that gets energetically locked into the system. When that's locked in there, and you have these 2 big master numbers, that becomes the foundation.
Cool.
And you can't override that consciously afterwards until you go in there and you can gut it all out. And the 5D is there to go in there, clean it up as quickly as possible. You're not taking just the one feeling out, you're gutting out the foundation with it.
Wow. I guess we're going to have to talk a little bit more, aren't we?
Yes. Amazing.
Oh, I love it. Well, you know what? I hope that this has sparked some people's interest to start looking at things, because, you know, we have to look at ourselves, and we have to look at ourselves honestly, because really, you know, life is really a process, and it doesn't all unravel at once. And even at this point in time in my life, I'm still unraveling. So, you know, if you're interested, please, as we said, we'll be putting the links below, but it's time to find out, what is it? You know, we all have things that hold us back. We all have feelings that we haven't dealt with through our lives. It's true.
Yeah, it is true. So, I mean, I'm speaking of it from personal experience. I honestly thought that from my own experience growing up, that, yeah, when somebody would raise their voice, there was a part of me, I'd shrink. And it was a sick feeling. It was really a nauseating feeling. And no amount of therapy is going to go in there and release it until I took charge of it. I went in there, I gutted it out, and I got the test from the universe. And after that, I said, thank you very much. It doesn't take a lifetime. It just takes a decision. There's an alternate way with dealing with this, but one's got to be ready for it.
It's making those decisions on how much. I always believed in self-love, because
Yes.
for years I never did that. And, you know, it was something that held me back, because I didn't love myself enough to work on myself. And it was through a lot of hardships
Yes.
and a lot of falls that had to change.
And that's a big one. Because most, unfortunately, maybe 60 or 70% of the people out there, their heart chakra's closed.
Mm-hmm.
And the other eye opener is most of humanity is without their soul.
That's, wow, it's very true.
So the souls we're watching, there's all kind of activity going on up there, but it's that's where the real war is going on. They're after people's souls.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're after. So what I've learned in this lifetime, either we sell our soul for something, or we want to keeping our soul intact with the integrity with the universe, doing whatever we need to do with this.
Wow. Well, we've had a very heavy segment today with a lot of things to think about, because you've shed a lot of light and a very different perspective on things in life. And I'm really, for one, grateful for you. Thank you very much for joining us today and for shedding some incredible wisdom. Talk about wisdom from the souls.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Thank you both. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, you know, Glenda, I'm gonna piggyback on his comment of living in 5D, because my journey started, it was before I met Stefan. It was many, many years ago, and I knew I needed to work on myself. And when you talk about self-love, you know, forgiveness, for me, forgiveness of myself brought me to self-love. Self-love elevated me to not only shed my ego, because you really have, when you practice forgiveness, you can't have an ego and do it properly. And when I say I'm living in 5D, not only it's a humbling experience, because I look back on who I was and I feel so blessed that I've been able to experience this in my lifetime, but it opens your eyes so widely that you look at people differently. You look at animals with so much compassion. You look at people that, you know, I see someone throw a cigarette butt out of a car now, and I like lose my mind. It's like, you can't destroy our beautiful earth. You truly see things in just such a different manner, and your heart starts unlocking and the armor comes off. And even if you know, it's like I tell people, it's like, do I love my ex-husband? As a soul, yes, I do, because everyone deserves love and he can't love himself. That doesn't mean you want them back or you want to experience it again, but you are willing to give out love so selflessly. It's just, it flows from your body and you can't stop it, nor do you want to.
Yeah.
So, Stefan, I love it. You know that I love this. So thank you for sharing everything with this. I'm so glad you agreed to come on and talk to us.
Well,
Stefan, we only have another second. Can you give us one little wise wisdom tip for to leave our audience with?
The universe gives everyone a second go around or a second chance. I would recommend it. Do not blow it. The soul that's coming with ourselves is coming. My soul's coming for me. It's not coming from anyone from the family. It's not coming from mom and dad, because they've all been stuck with the same stuff. So each and every one of us is our own king or our own queen, and we connect with our higher self here. We're coming here to change and elevate everything in ourself first, and then in divine timing or in divine order to share this gift with others. It also means that when we cut the past energetically, doesn't mean everyone's going to be following with us with this either. Because unfortunately, a lot of souls will be leaving or transitioning to the other side. So if you decide to do this, one will be forced with making their decision. There's no longer the luxury of sitting on the fence saying, well, I want to stick with the old or I want to go with the new. The 5D is going to kick a person off either way with this. So take advantage of it. It's here to stay. If you thought 2020 was a tough round, 2023 is just around the corner. And it's there as a shakeup to wake people up from the universe. So
buckle up.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us today. And this was one incredible section today. And I thank you, Stefan, for joining us from the bottom of my heart. It's been an absolute delight.
Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you both.
Blessings.